I want to talk AI now because it's something that was not a feature of the election campaign whatsoever, and it should have been. Finally, we're starting to get a conversation, much because we've seen an AFR AI summit in the last couple of days, but politicians are starting to talk about it. We've got a new Assistant Minister in Tim Ayres who is alive to the idea that regulation is required, but also how you harness the productivity gains out of AI. I spoke to both Tim Wilson and Andrew Bragg from the Liberal Party about this yesterday. This is what they had to say about not only generative AI, but agentic AI.
It's going to be a big challenge for companies around how they're going to be able to train people up if there's not going to be entry-level pathways. But it's going to have broader socio-political consequences where what we've seen in the schism in society between older Australians who are able to afford to own their own home and then younger Australians not being able to do so, the same thing happening in employment, where younger Australians may not be able to get their first foothold into the employment ladder.
When technology has appeared on the landscape, generally it has been jobs accretive. It's not true to say that new technology has destroyed all jobs, otherwise the personal computer would have destroyed a lot of opportunities in the workplace. So jobs change over time.
Joining me live now is AI company Hey Juno co-founder Michelle Gilmore. Michelle, thanks so much for your time. I know you were part of this AI summit yesterday with the AFR, but I want to talk further about, first let's go to the benefits of AI. It goes far beyond just, chat GTP, writing our emails in our daily life. But how do you see this as transformative, particularly in productivity and business?
I think that it can be incredibly beneficial to us as humans, as societies, if we embrace this in the right ways. We need to ensure that this is for everyone, that we do this in equitable ways, but we will see an incredible change in human productivity and capability. I'm really optimistic about these notions.
Yeah, look, as I mentioned at the outset, this was not a feature of our campaign at all. But when you talk about AI, there's so many aspects to it. The amount of energy, reliable and cheap energy that's required to be at the forefront of this. This is something that America is looking at. And there's this AI war really between China and the US at the moment. That's why you're seeing NVIDIA shares the way they are. Of course, we don't want to be a doomsday about it, but the head of Anthropic, Dario, has talked about perhaps 20% of white-collar jobs going in, the next 5 years because of AI. Do you see it that way, or do you see, us adapting and actual humans, using AI to be more productive?
I do. I can't talk to those statistics specifically, but what I can say is that there is an opportunity before us, and this will happen to us, or we will participate. I think that big business in Australia and the Australian government have a huge responsibility to ensure this happens well. It will happen anyway. If we don't do this nationally, talent will go offshore and startups will be suffocated. So we have to make sure that we invest in innovation as much as we invest in regulation and policy. And I think right now the Australian government is investing more in regulation and policy than innovation, and I think we need to balance that out.
What are you seeing at the moment in business?
Can you be more specific? Do you mean big business, startup?
Well, you just, in your day-to-day job, how are you seeing business use AI?
Sure. I think that there are great opportunities for humans to be in relationship with agents. And what I mean by that is to work with them.
It sounds kind of creepy, Michelle.
I don't mean as companions at all.
Okay,
I mean working with to get more stuff done. I think that there's a really exciting opportunity to not be buried in research anymore, to have big information sets right at our fingertips, and for that not to be owned by big corporations anymore, but rather anyone, everyday Australians, being able to be informed and have information. So I think research is one thing. I think that productivity is another. And I think that things like my local childcare centre uses AI to talk to parents about their opinions about their child's experience at a childcare centre. My company was used by a local RSL to understand if their menu was going well for patrons. I think that there are everyday use cases that are quite exciting that can help us to be better, faster, and I'm not sure that it has to be scary all the time, although I completely understand that it can be.
Yeah, it certainly can. Well, Michelle, so good to give us your time today. I really appreciate it. It's something that it should be forefront, not because it's scary, but because we probably need to embrace it more than we have. So thank you.
You're so welcome. Have a good day.